Hey, thanks for stopping by. My name is Troels, and in this video I'll be demonstrating our H or our Acoustic Grand Ensemble Volume 2 Cimbaloms. As you may have noticed from the website in regards to both videos and demos and all that, there's a unique sound to this whole sound collection, and it really starts with the concept, and this was the core philosophy of the library. We have string sections, we have woodwind sections, we have brass sections, and we've sort of gotten used to what they sound like, and that's sort of in traditional classical realm how it's supposed to be done. But what happens if we start taking other instruments, for example, pianos, harps, guitars, marimba, cimbalom, xylophones, and so forth, and put them in ensemble configurations? And that's really what the whole philosophy of H was about, to like, let's explore these atypical ensembles and see what happens. And the Cimbalon is a great example of what happens when you do it. It has a super fat sound. It sits really well in an epic mix, and I'll try to demonstrate that in the video. I actually got inspired for my main demo by the Cimbaloms here because they just have a really powerful, tight, funky, but big sound, particularly because there's 5 of them. And as you can notice here as well, and I'll start out by demonstrating the spot mics or the individual microphones. We have 5 of them loaded here. And I'll try to solo them so you can hear the individual ones. Each spot mic represents each instrument, the ensemble. So not only did we have our whole microphones that you can see over here, our mixed deck of far, wide, and close, but we also did spot mics of each instrument. So for example, when you play the guitars, you can have 7 different microphones loaded here just for the spot mics alone. And you can also see that's affected by the memory footprint. We got a couple of questions in some of the other videos like, wow, it looks like it's taking up a lot. And that's simply because there's a lot of microphones loaded. And obviously you can get this number down as well if you mess with the DFD settings in Kontakt. But let me just introduce you briefly to the module here, and then we'll get started very quickly. Obviously we have our articulation page here, and I'll demonstrate most of the articulations in this video here. You can also click over here and assign all these guys the articulations to both key switches, controllers, and velocities, even if you're into crazy settings. We have an options page here where you can control the release triggers and the velocity of your keyboard so you can really get the right feeling of it. We obviously have the mixer page here, and then we also have an effects page, and I'll try to demonstrate that in greater length in the video as well. There's a variety of unique, super cool effects in it. But let's just kick it off here with the spot mic so you can hear all the individual Cimbaloms and how distinct they sound from each other. It's kind of interesting actually, because you really got the feeling like some of them have different feelings and all that stuff, but when you put them together, it becomes like a whole new instrument. And that's really the sweet spot of H and the whole philosophy. Like, this is no longer a Cimbalom, it's something else. I don't know what to call it, like Cimbalom or something like that. But it's really unique and fatter in the sense. Let's try the slow staccatos here. And this time around, let's also mess a little bit around with some of the effects. Let's just switch the arpeggiator on here and test it out. All right, let's try to put that concept a little further. Let's activate the filter here. And one thing there's really cool about the filter is that it's actually a step-based filter here as well. So you can really get some funky settings here. I have no idea what this is going to sound like, but we'll try. And we should also add maybe some delay and perhaps our transformer reverb as well. The transform is a variety of more like sound designy type of settings. And I should also mention, this is important, this plutonium symbol is the symbol of our chaos engine. If you click this guy here, it's going to randomize all the settings and whatever you do. So you can really, if you need to be inspired and you kind of need a new sound, you can simply just go crazy on the atomic symbol and you have a nuclear explosion of new sounds in front of you. So super simple to do more kind of sound designy stuff. Let's try to push it just one step further actually. Here you got our articulations obviously, and down here you got our articulation sequencer. And the sequencer means that you can cycle through any articulation. Oh, let me just switch the filter off here actually. Might be a little too much here. So you can see that it's switching through all the articulations here as I'm playing. And you can randomize it any way you want. We actually have 4 different steps here as well. So you can really get some crazy stuff going. And I'll try right now to arpeggiate it. And instead of just going through the arpeggiation of one articulation, it's actually gonna arpeggiate through all the different articulations. So it's sort of a wave sequence, if you will, where you cycle through all the individual articulations loaded in the entire module. And it gives some really cool, more magical, twirly, complicated type of arpeggiations. So crazy stuff, and this is like, you know, it's as chaotic as you want it to be. You could also just start over here and say, well, I only want like, you know, 2 staccatos and a Bartok and a staccato, or whatever you want. And you can build more consistent type of patterns that way by making more structure in it. Or you can click over here and it'll just get randomized and totally chaotic. Let's try to move on here to the Cimbalom main microphone. So essentially, as you can see on your right side over here, we have the hall mics loaded right now. And I'll try to go through all the articulations because I think there's such a beautiful, distinct sound to each of these articulations. So I'd rather just demonstrate all of them, and then I'll talk a little bit in between. But there's a lot to go through here. I think it's so beautiful. Most of it is done with round robin as well, like a fairly chunky amount. And obviously radial velocity layers as well. So you really have a beautiful set of Cimbalons. And obviously, just as you saw with the spot mics, you actually have 5 different Cimbalons within the package as well. But these are the hall mics, and I'm just going to be playing right now our mixed microphone position. Obviously, you can check out the deca, the far, the wide, and the close, and all that if you're into surround mixing in particular. But let's just get started here. And the traditional sustain sort of has a more muted sound. You're going to hear once we get into the staccatos and the Bartok and the strums that you can have a much more clear, punchy sound of it. But there's a beautiful, more soft, almost piano-like sound to the sustains that in a more muted, tempered kind of category of sound. Let me try to demonstrate the staccato here. And the way I'm going to do it is to play you a little snippet of the main demo that I'm working on for Age Volume 2. And I'll play just a little bit with a staccato notes so you can hear what they sound like, and then I'll try to go into the different staccato articulations. But I just want to give you an idea about like how powerful this can actually sit in a fairly epic mix. So definitely like a fairly beefy, bitey sound that has some teeth to it. Let me try to demonstrate it in a little more calm setting here. So to me, that sound could have had a little more presence, and let me try to dial that in here actually. I'm gonna add some EQ presence. You can see here on the mix page, we have both EQ presence and stereo mix. Let me just try to dial it down here, and while it's playing, I'll try to dial it up. Let me play the same thing again here, so you can hear how it sort of added more of a touch of brilliance in the mix if you want. And this is a feature that we actually also have in our Cage library, and we have in our exclusive VIP series as well. It's just brilliant. It's using a variety of EQ parameters that we delicately program to the library as well. So it just follows a specific curve that really helps giving the right sound, but without getting any sort of notable bumps at any frequency level. So definitely a feature to keep in mind. You can also save and load it up here, and you can also widen the stereo field. But since this is a hall-based recording in a hall that has a tail of over 3 seconds, I wouldn't add any stereo field to it right now. But it's actually great for the spot mics. Let me start here with the staccato slow. And as I mentioned previously, these actually have a variety both round robin and velocity layers. Just beautiful, very expressive. This one has a little more tight, sharp sound to it. And we also did a faster type of staccato, which is a little harder. As we did with Adagio as well, sometimes when you sit with the instrument, you realize, oh my God, the staccato is not just the staccato. It can actually be played with different mallets, different intention, and even across different velocity layers, different lengths, different this and that. You obviously all of a sudden might be sitting at separate sample sets, even for the same articulation. So let me demonstrate that here, playing the hard one too. If there is such thing as calorie counts for sample libraries, I think this one would definitely have a higher amount of them. There's a fatness to the sound here that is hard to find, impossible to find actually, just with the individual instruments. Something else happens. Those fat notes, check out our piano and our harp video. When you have 4 concert grands and 4 harps playing the deepest note they can in ensemble configuration, you are in a different universe of sounds. Let me also demonstrate the Bartok is actually very similar to the staccatos, but it has even more bite than you heard in the staccato hard. Sorry, I couldn't help myself with that one. The Cimbalom is known for having a specific sound when you take the hammer and you gently press it against the string. It gives sort of a ping pong ball type of effect. Like, so check it out. And because we love you so much, I should also mention that even stuff like strum hits and tremolos also come in round robin configurations. It's just, there's a natural variation. These things can be played insanely fast. If you've ever seen any good Cimbalom players, it's a fairly fast business. So we decided just to do round robin on all of them. So there's enough of it. We also have it actually for our short tremolos here. Let me show them. And it's beautiful with those like twirly textures. The tremolo is actually really good to demonstrate that with. That's crazy. So we had like 26 voices. So that's 13 times 5. That's how many Cimbaloms we're just playing. I think it's so beautiful. There's magic right there. It's something beautiful. It's not just the normal like, oh, okay, I take a sound and I try to make a fake tremolo. This is so beautiful and organic. Let me try here, last one here with the tremolo picked as well. Last but not least, let me demonstrate the Cimbalom synthesizers as well. One of the great things about H is that we created 10 different synthesizers per ensemble, meaning you actually get 90 different multi-sample synthesizers with both volumes, including for pianos and guitars. But each of them have content that we really spent a long time on, where we took the source content, so in this case, the source content of the Cimbaloms, and we created unique multi-sample synthesizer patches out of it that can both be used in conjunction with the existing instruments, so they really go well with the Cimbaloms. They obviously sit together, they're derived from the same material, but they can also be used totally standalone. Let me demonstrate, let me just try the first 3 synthesizers here, you can hear them. Okay, so let's try to push it a little bit here. Let me try to combine, if you click the wrench symbol down here, you can actually combine multiple synthesizers. So let's take Elastic Flowers, Interference, and let's add some Glowsimer to it. So it just creates a new universe of sounds, and it's so easy. You can just click and start combining sounds and see what it sounds like. And obviously, you can also mangle it with the effects parameters down here. Let me just take some. Let's try these. I don't know. And let's try to let me try to put the arpeggiator on that actually. And I'm gonna activate the stack function here. Stack meaning that the initial chord you take is also in the arpeggiator. It's not just that it starts arpeggiating, but it takes that initial chord as well. Let's check it out. Now, before we wrap up, let me just show you one more feature here. We have our articulation sequencer, obviously for the synthesizer as well, and it allows you to build these very elaborate chains of more complicated type of sounds. So you can create either totally chaotic ones, if you want to do that, where it'll just randomize and cycle through all the sounds as I demonstrated. But you can also do like more structured ones. So let's say we go like 1, 5, 1, 6, 1, 8. And when it's saying numbers here, it's essentially just that the articulation here corresponds with the number down here, so you can sort of have a little bit more structure in your sequence. And the whole concept here is not only to have fun and everything sounds great out of the box, but it's also that you can either just use it straight out of the key, like just use the normal articulations and just get going. You can also start combining them, or you can create these very elaborate chains here and blend it with our chaos effects and whatever you want. And it's all just right there. And I think the mantra for us with H, which is a really big library, it's over 75 gigabytes of compressed data, actually compressed from over 150 gigabytes and over 50,000 samples. And as you can see in this video, it's also super easy to use. You don't have to get like super complicated, and you can do really unique, beautiful things with it. And to me, we're definitely going to keep on exploring this concept of ensembles, because something magical happens, something that I have never ever heard actually with individual instruments. And there's no way you can mimic this by using chorus or ensemble effects. You really have to record them this way. There's a complexity, I think you heard, like just with the tremolos, that is no way you can mimic that closely. It's the human element in the samples, and particularly with multiple humans, it gets even more beautiful and wild and powerful. So Anyway, I could go on all day long about the beauty of acoustic grand ensembles, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.